It is Monday, the 5th of Feb, 2024. Anybody remember B-movies?
Here we go. Movie!
Well, forget B-movies. How about E, F, G, and right the way down to Z movies? Because that's where you'll find Senator Cupid Stunt,
loud and obnoxious on Twitter,
who wants to be some type of a Z-list action star. And I really do mean Z-list. He would like to be the new border czar because he spends more time at the border than any other location. And you may think, but hey, Ted Cruz wants to actually do something about the border situation. Well, what Ted Cruz wants to do is promote Ted Cruz at the border. All new Ted Cruz at the border.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor.
chaos that is on.
We're gonna have to find someone else. I'm out. But he's your protege. Or a blood.
Coming soon, born to talk bullets at the border.
He's a pussy.
If it means a photo, Ted Cruz is coming
We've got a
soon.
flight to catch.
A little bit past midnight.
That was pretty well orchestrated.
Been down on the southern border, getting ready to head up to Black Hawk, California. Here in Del Rio, Texas.
Ted Cruz is coming soon. Try and miss it.
Won't you be my neighbor?
It's not even funny. Somebody tell me, please, why Ted Cruz has spent so much time at the border and achieved what? What does Ted Cruz, for somebody that complains an awful lot about the border, what has he actually achieved? If you're in Texas, or you know anybody who's in Texas, or you have an opinion, please, in the comment section right now. Does Ted Cruz just go to the border for a photo opportunity? Press the like button if you think yes.
I'm extremely disappointed in the very strange maneuvering by many on the right to torpedo a potential border reform bill. If we have a bill that, on net, significantly decreases illegal immigration, and we sabotage that, that is inconsistent with what we told our voters we would do. People will make up whatever reasons they want to. There's a number of them, I'm sure. But it would be a pretty unacceptable dereliction of your duty.
Last week, what did Joe Biden do? He announced what I call the Vladimir Putin subsidy from Joe Biden, which is he blocked future exports of liquid natural gas, which means Europe has to buy from Russia instead of from America. It hurts jobs here, and it helps Putin. But this is an example of Biden's weakness and how it makes it more dangerous.
Okay, people might think this is weird or petty, but I'm going to talk. I think it's weird for a U.S. Senator to do 5 podcast episodes a week. Yeah. I'm not wrong,
That's right. No, that's right. I mean, it's very time consuming. Like when I appear on a podcast, it takes time. But being the host, and he normally does 3 a week. So that was actually news for me that he was up to 5. He's a media personality. He's not serious about being a senator.
I feel like there's some level at which maybe you'll help. If you beat him, you help him. Because I think he really just wants to do that full time, which again, no shade.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Right,
but I mean, you might be giving him a hand.
Yeah, that's what he wants to do. He's not a serious legislator. I mean, we're talking about these negotiations in the Senate right now. You'll never see him a part of those negotiations. He won't be rolling up his sleeves and trying to figure out a compromise on how we can legislate to move forward. This is what he does. He goes on podcasts, he goes on cable news, and that's what he does.
And for her, the title was long held by that man, Senator and podcaster Ted Cruz, seen here glumly calling voters for the Republican ticket in 2016 after pretending to be offended that Donald Trump called his wife ugly. Yesterday, Cruz endorsed Trump again, this time just days after the New York Times reported Trump recently said, quote, Ted, he shouldn't even exist. I could have destroyed him. I kind of did destroy him in 2016, if you think about it, but then I let him live. None of this is new or particularly surprising. This is about what we anticipated, watching the Republican Party yet again fall in line, as they always seem like they would. But I do think sometimes the story of Trump's strength among the Republican Party actually overstates some of the complexity of what is going on.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't know why, but every time you run for re-election, you are maybe the second most hated man behind Donald Trump in politics. They're gunning for you big time, politically speaking.
Well, listen, I wear that as a badge of honor.
No, I mean, why should we automatically, reflexively accept what the Senate sent us? They certainly didn't feel any pressure to take our bill. So if they pass something that addresses our border, maybe we could conference the two. But frankly, their solution basically says, just go ahead and raise the standard to nearly 2 million illegals per year. And fundamentally, nothing about the emergency authority granted by the bill or imposed by the bill is really forces the president to even take action. He didn't accidentally implement these policies. He did it on purpose. So frankly, I think that the border is the way he designed it to be.
I just want to be clear now, and you're quite right on all of the above. The 2 million and that minimum that we could still see 4,000 or 5,000 a day, that's built in as a baseline. There are a lot of variables to that. But, you know, you talk about 2 million who come in versus the 8 million coming in right now. It's a start. Let's say the Republican nominee, if it's Donald Trump wins, that's the win behind his back, and he can slap the more serious measures that you want to see when he becomes president.
Well, I certainly hope he does, but the idea that we're going to lock into law, the law today says none. So why would we concede to make it 2 million? The answer is we don't accept illegal immigration.
8 million, right? The reality is it's 8 million, and the law doesn't stipulate that either. And I agree with what you're saying on the numbers that you're looking at, but better to start something and try to force a ceiling on this than one that just goes up, 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 up.
No, see, your solution, that's why Republican politics is like NASCAR. Everyone gets in the race and just starts turning left. Yeah. When are we going to do what we said we would do? They create a giant problem, make it 8 million people, and you say, oh, such benevolence from the Democrats, they're going to make it 2 million. No, it's a terrible plan. We should lock in 0. That's the right standard.
But if we don't lock in anything, and I understand what you're saying, and your colleagues have been saying that the president has, with just the flick of a pen, he can undo a lot of this, but he's not undoing a lot of it, and he's not undoing a lot of the things that you said happened under Donald Trump. This forces him into some position, weak as maybe you argue it is, and sets the stage for a Republican president, if that's the case, who comes in and then goes even further. In that gap, then, sir, you don't have anything getting done.
Well, what's going to happen is Mayorkas is going to be impeached. He's earned it. He's violating the law. He's refusing to enforce it.
He is not going to be impeached.
He is going to be impeached by the House.
I know that, but
we can't control the Senate.
He's not going to lose his job.
Well, maybe not, but he should, and so should Joe Biden. And so all we can do is make the case to the American people and ask them to send reinforcements. So hopefully they do. But in the meantime, look, we should commit to say, oh, absolutely, we want to fund our government. This bill doesn't even fund our government. It funds Ukraine's government. It funds Israel's government. It funds Indo-Pacific stuff, all with borrowed money or really printed money. It makes inflation worse. It makes immigration worse. And frankly, it makes our national security posture work because endless wars deplete our strength instead of build it. So everything about this is a wrong-headed approach. The House should say, we want to fund a government. We're only going to fund a government that secures the border. The Senate maybe finally has a counteroffer, and maybe there's some way to compromise between what the Senate is working on and what the House has passed with H.R. 2.
All right, we'll watch it very closely. Congressman, thank you very much for taking the time. We've got the latest, too.
He's been knee-deep in this thing for months now, and he was on a bit earlier today on Fox and Friends. I just want to play this. We've heard a little bit of it moments ago, but just listen carefully to what he supports in this bill. Watch.
The key thing here is changes the asylum laws, builds more wall, adds more detention beds, adds more deportation flights, changes this 10-year backlog that we're currently in now to weeks before people are actually deported. That's what the bill really does. So right now, if you walk across the border today, you can say, I have fear in my country, and you'll be released into the country for 10 years. Under this bill, you walk across the border and say, I have fear in my country. They say, prove it. You've got to have a higher standard of evidence.
If you enforce all that, it sounds pretty good on its face. And the other thing he said is that it builds more wall. This is a Democratic president who would be signing this if it were to pass out of Congress in its current form. When you spend the money on the wall is to be debated. A lot of that comes in 2025 and beyond. But just on its face, Governor, what do you like about what they have done inside this bill?
Well, I think anything that we're doing that makes it harder for people to just freely walk in. Right now, we have had, under this administration, completely and totally open borders. In the last month alone, they picked up more people from the terrorist watch list than they did the entire 4 years of Donald Trump's presidency. So we have to put harsher and tougher restrictions in place. In the state of Arkansas, we took in and seized so much fentanyl that it would kill 2.8 million people, and that's just in our state alone. That's almost the entire population of Arkansas. I'm not saying there aren't some good merits of this legislation, but if they're not going to take serious action at the congressional level, then Republican governors are going to continue to step up where the federal government is failing, and I'm committed to being part of that coalition of governors that will keep fighting to make sure we have a secure border.
All right, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, always good to see you. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you for your time. What's your read on it, Dana?
Well, there was another piece that might not sound like that important of a headline, but I thought it was interesting that if you are somebody who comes across and claims asylum, but that if you are asked this question, is there some place in your own country that would be safe enough for you? If they say no, but we know that that's not true, that would be a way to get them out. It also says if you have a criminal record, you could immediately be deported. What's interesting is that that's not already the law. So there are some things in there that seem to make a lot of sense.
I would just add to it, a lot of this was tied to spending in Ukraine, spending in Israel, spending in Taiwan during an election year. If this is dead on arrival in the House, how do you work on those three other measures?
Well,
what happens
well,
with
the
those
Speaker of the House just
overseas?
put in a separate standalone bill just for Israel.
So we'll see. We'll see what goes from here. But a sticky wicket in Congress to be expected, and we'll see which move they make next.
Indeed.
All right, 12 minutes back.